Hi everybody, thanks for joining me again for another episode. So I've just left the car and we're going to go on a bit of a trek at the moment. So we're going to try and do a bit of foraging while we're out. Maybe find some nettles that we'll cook up a little later on with some salt and pepper and maybe a bit of butter. And see what else we find. Maybe some wild berries, but we'll see, we never know. So it's a gorgeous day, the sun's out. It is really the start of summer, I think. Summer is just around the corner, so come and enjoy the sunshine with me. Come and enjoy the beauty of this location. It's going to be good. It is moving, it's not stagnant, and the water is pretty clear. So got to be safe for the animals to drink. If I were to try drinking that, I would probably get very sick. Good idea to boil the water. So I've come across this pond. It's absolutely gorgeous. The day's seriously amazing. It's the first real summer day that we've had, and then I've come across this, and it's beautiful. There's a duck out there and some crows. So I've had to come under this tree here just to take a break from that heat. It is incredibly warm. So I'm gonna sit under here. I'm gonna make some coffee, I think, while I cool down. Here's my pack. So I've got this. This is from France. It may not have originated from France, but that's where it came from. And it is, from what I gather, around 1940, around about there. All original. This leather work here is pretty amazing. I just love it. You can strap your sleeping bag or your roll-up mattress in here. Plenty of storage. And just plenty of room in there. I've got some camera equipment in there. I've got my Silky Gomboy 270. Coffee stuff. That's all original right there. Just, it's really gorgeous. Oh yeah. That's good. Perhaps a little bit about me. I was born in South Africa, and then I grew up in the States. Lived in Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas. Moved to Chicago, but I've always had a love for the outdoors. I've always, having come from South Africa, you've got great outdoors right there. Incredible mountains. Just incredible wilderness, real wilderness. And so the goal of my videos is going to be really just for you to explore some of the things that I enjoy. This is not going to be one of those bushcraft shows. Now I enjoy them, but this is not going to be one of those bushcraft shows where you're going to see the trendiest bushcraft gear in terms of the trendiest bushcraft clothing, you know, name brand backpacks, rucksacks, whatever, the most expensive bushcraft knives. I think that there are bushcraft knives that you can buy that do the job really well without having to spend hundreds of dollars or pounds, depending on where you live, euros, without having to spend a whole bunch of money, and yet getting good tools for the task. So you'll find a lot of what I use are going to be military surplus things, vintage items, my backpack being a vintage item from the 1940s, not the newest item, but there's a lot of character there. And so I want to encourage you, if you're starting out in bushcraft, don't go ahead and spend a lot of money getting the most expensive gear, you know, just so that you have that particular brand on your jacket or whatever. Just, you know, do what you can, you know, do some research. You know, there are a lot of reviews on knives to get that are within less than $50, and there are going to be a lot of you who are going to be weekend bushcrafters because you have busy jobs, you have busy careers, you have families, and so shows like mine are going to make bushcraft a little more accessible, a little more fun. There are great channels out there where there's incredible know-how. You know, I'll put some recommendations on the description, just some other channels if you want to know how, you know, the details, if you want to have the expertise down to a T, then that's where I'll point you to. So I'll leave that in the description, and you should give this a try as well. Instead of buying expensive leather sheaths, you know, things like that, why not try doing a bit of leather craft? Make your own sheath. You know, there are lots of tutorials on YouTube, and so that's what I've been doing, just making leather sheaths. Now I'll give you an idea. This is not the prettiest sheath in the world, but I needed a sheath for my Silky Gomboy 270, and so I just put this little baby together here. It's got a clip, I'll show you now, and there you go, clip, and it does the job. I've obviously got the bottom part is reinforced, doubled up there. There you have it. So give this a go, give things like this a go. That is the whole essence of bushcraft, is being able to be self-sufficient, being able to make something instead of going to the store. I mean, if you're in the wilderness, you're going to have the skills to be able to take care of yourself, and so some leather craft is a good skill to have. And carving, you know, that's a good skill to have. When you're out at camp, it can be quite busy with all the chores, the wood that needs to be chopped and shelters that need to be built, etc. But there is some downtime, and when you're sitting around that fire, you know, get a piece of wood and carve it, you know. And this is not the prettiest spoon, but I've carved that out, and it's a good skill to have, you know. Get your tools out and just make something. That's part of what bushcraft is all about. So instead of buying the newest item, get something vintage, get something military surplus. Generally these options are pretty inexpensive. Make something, teach yourself the essence of survival, you know. Learn to make a fire, use a ferro rod, try your hand at a friction fire. All of these things are important skills for us all to have, and the reason it's important is because, now I know I'm preaching a bit here, but the reason it's important is because we are so mobile. I mean, we're on planes all the time and things happen, and if you were in a situation where you needed to survive, where you needed to not just get yourself out of a situation to civilization, but to survive during that process, it's important to know how to make a fire, a friction fire, or use what you've got, a shelter. access water, purify water, things like that. These are big parts of bushcraft. They teach us those essential elements of survival. So I've just had my coffee and I think it's time to move on. So we're going to do a bit of foraging. Well, that's it guys. Thanks for watching this little bit. I'm about to head on to camp. I'm really hot now. The sun is blazing. I'm having a great time. Don't get me wrong. But I think it's time for some food at base camp. A couple of things. So I'm gonna get some stinging nettles cooked up, some butter, and a couple of other things. So we're back at camp and it's been an incredibly hot day, probably one of the hottest this year for certain, but I'm back here and what we're gonna do is I've got my little wood burning stove going and just started that. We're gonna boil some water and then we are going to cook up some nettles. I did also get some wild rocket, but I'm not sure if it's gonna go with the nettles. And then I've got some French sausage, which you would have seen during my solo night out. I like nettles. It's a bit like spinach, I guess. If you've not tried it, you got to give it a try. It's one of these wild foods that are easily accessible. So here we are, we're going to add the stinging nettles straight into a pot of hot water. Just let that boil for a second. Stinging nettle cooked with some French sausage, some mushrooms. Let's have a go. So I'm going to grab a bit of everything here. Excuse me. I'll drop the mushroom. Pretty good. Oh yeah. I'm eating this incredible meal at the moment, and to go with that I've got this old speckled hen, and I've had it before, once before, and it was pretty good. Oh yeah, hits the spot. I gotta have some more of this food. I'm gonna finish the rest of this, but once again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the walk through the countryside, a bit of a chat there, the forage, and now the dinner, along with the very delicious ale. I'll catch you soon, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe. Take care.